Welcome back, everyone. A very important topic that we need to discuss is firewalls in a network. We all know we need one, okay? Now we need to get a little bit more in detail, not in detail, but we need to know a little bit more about it. I'll probably have a lab done for you guys in somewhere in this course in firewalls. All right, I'll just pop it up on there. Now, a firewall is simply a program or hardware device that filters the information coming through the internet connection into your private network or computer system. All right, basically a firewall, we all know what a firewall is. Okay, it could be a Cisco PIX firewall, it could be an ASA firewall. Okay, it could be many different types of firewalls. You got pictures of them, tons of pictures. In the packet tracer, we have an ASA firewall. That's what I'm telling you. I'm probably going to have a lab done with this. And I just put it up there in new topics. Doubtful that you'll have to configure any policy settings. All right, but you need to understand that firewalls are needed for the purpose of you blocking people to coming in or blocking people to go out. All right. Now there are conditions that we set with these firewalls. Okay, they're called policies. Just like you do in Active Directory, you set group policies within a Microsoft server. You set policies in these firewalls. All right, you can do them based on IP addresses. I remember back at the college that we would try to block MySpace. All right, but we did it through IP addresses. Are bad, right? Because what they did, they bought separate types of addresses. They weren't contiguous. So about like class A's, B's, C's. They're all sorts of types of addresses from different classes. So they're very hard to block. They use proxies, all different things that people can go around. So IP addresses is not the best things, but if you know particular types of addresses you can block, definitely you don't want private addresses coming into your network. Domain names is something else you can go ahead and do policies with. You can block certain domain names. Again, experience, work for the county. People like to listen to radio. There's one particular, I forgot the name of it, the domain name of it, this particular radio station. And definitely while people are working, yeah, you can come bring in, I guess, your little radio player. People now got the little phones and they play a little music, whatever, while they're working. But we didn't want them on the network because that's going to take up traffic, right, on the network. So definitely you want to create policies based on domain names for things of that nature. We definitely don't want people going on Facebook. We don't want people going on Snapchat, right, on the phone, not on their phone, on their phone or their computers, or all these social media kind of stuff. You definitely want to block. Protocols that you're definitely going to work with on a daily basis, which you got to be very careful with: HTTP, FTP, UDP, ICMP, and SNMP. Depending on where you're going, everything is HTTP. All right, you can, if you're going to sit there and block protocol by protocol by protocol, it's going to be, just like port numbers, not the most preferred, like I said right here. Do you know that HTTP is not secure? HTTPS is secure, but now we're talking about certificate services. All right, FTP, that's not secure. UDP, obviously. ICMP, we definitely, a lot of places block ICMP because there's other ways that you can test connectivity besides using ICMP. And then simple network management protocols, you got to be careful with that because certain applications used for hacking use SNMP. Ports, again, now we got 65,535 ports. You're not going to sit there through all these different ports and say, you know what, I want to block this one, this one, this one, this one. No, you block everything. You block everything, and then you start allowing the ports that you do use on a daily basis. And then as needed, you start allowing things in. All right, you gotta be very, very careful. Things you can do, specific words and phrases like adult content. I don't need to be specific in those types of words that you need to block. All right, but definitely adult content stuff in the workplace does not belong. Things like hacking, hijacking, delete policy, things of that nature. When people try to get around things, you gotta go ahead and block. And again, you do things through policies. Needs for firewalls. People do denial servers. I was a victim of a distributed denial service. I was what they call a zombie, right? They send me a packet, right? The attacker sends hundreds, if not thousands of people these packets, right? These viruses that infect you. So that little application, and then from your computer, you send out a virus to the actual victim. So you become the zombie. So you gotta be careful with denial of service. And basically what denial of service is, it sends a message to a particular server, okay, or to a particular computer, usually a server, to block a service. And it's gonna be, could be TCP, could be whatever, okay? And when it does it, when it sends that acknowledgement, when it replies back, it never gets back the acknowledgement that you got it, that you got the reply. Because remember, it's a three-way handshake. So that three-way handshake never gets complete. So that session, that TCP session stays open. All right. So you don't want that to happen. Eventually, what's going to happen is going to crash. All right. If you're doing remote login, that's very dangerous. Okay. You got to be very careful how you do your remote logins. When you do it through VPNs. Okay. If you're using Cisco VPN clients, if that's the way you're going to go, make sure nobody's giving out information on how you're getting to it. You got to make it very, very secure. You want to go through a firewall to get to it. You want people to log into the firewall, or they have to go through a firewall before they get to any networks or any devices within the company. All right, because we know we have a lot of remote clients. I was when I worked at that telecommunications company. When I was on call for the switch, I had to make reports, so I had to log in to my computer at the switch. I didn't have to drive down there, obviously, so I just VPN into that particular my particular computer, but I did it through a firewall. Okay, and then through that firewall that allowed me to go through, I had the right credentials, I was able to get into my computer, log in, and then do what I had to do. So you gotta make people, you gotta make it very tight when it comes to securing remote login. You gotta be careful with backdoors. Be careful what applications you download. People download applications. Let me talk about computers. People download applications on their phones every single day. Okay, and even on their computers. But let's talk about phones, because phones we use them more than we do computers. Some people live 99.999% of the time with their phone in their hand, and they're downloading applications like the world is going to end tomorrow. And what they don't do is read what that application is saying. This application needs permissions to your contacts, to your phones, to this, to that, to the other thing. Allow it to be able to get inside and check your stuff for any errors, this and that. All right, so it takes, it even wants to look at your gallery. Why does it want to look at your gallery? It wants access to your camera, for God's sake. You gotta be careful. You gotta read these things before you accept, because you want the game, you want the application, you want this, you want that, because you can put your phone down or you can put your laptop down, and remotely somebody can just access your camera, turn on, and now they're looking at you while you're sleeping, while you're taking a shower, what have you. It is very, very serious. They can take all your information, because people put their bank account information in their phones, people put all in their computers, all that stuff, which you shouldn't do. All right. So be very careful what you download, because programmers will leave backdoors open. And what I mean by a backdoor, they leave a hole open where they know how to get in. If something happens and it goes down, they always leave themselves an entryway where they can get in and then fix the problem. It's used to fix problems, but what they do is people take advantage. That's what they call a vulnerability, right? A backdoor. It's a vulnerability that people take advantage of. Okay, so you gotta be very careful what you download, what you're using. And if you are going to do it, definitely create policies to protect that particular application. SMTP hijacking, all right, session hijacking, by getting access to a list of email addresses persons can send unsolicited junk mail. We all know this. How many junk mails don't we get? And one of the famous emails that everyone gets is that you've won $10 million. We're just waiting for you to collect, but you got to send us your information. Be very careful. This is not a security class, but again, we're talking about firewalls, right? You got to let your firewalls are going to be sitting at the edge of your network. It could be either before it could be, here's your the after router, before the router, or after the router, before the router, so it can filter things out. What's coming in? What are you going to allow in? Okay, So it's just not one firewall. If you have only one firewall, okay, you better make sure that you have all your bases covered and that everything connects to your firewall. Your switches, or it'll be unless you have a core switch, and then your core switch goes to your firewall, and then from there, your switch goes to the other switches, or you can go to other firewalls and they can filter out information there. It all depends how secure you want it. You can't make it too secure because then, you know, I remember working, I worked a lot of places when I first started at IT. It was for a third-party company that it outsourced IT help, right, on the phone, which it was interesting. I learned a lot, though. I learned a lot. But one of the things that they made us do, we have to log into 3 different firewalls before we can actually, I'm inside the company. I have to log into 3 different firewalls before I can actually get to the program I wanted to use to get to the operating system. Okay, so if you make it that tight, you make it that silly, then your users, what they're going to start doing? They're going to start writing down passwords, putting stickies underneath the desk, on the computer itself. They're going to put it on Notepad somewhere on there so that they can get to it. Whatever the case may be, you want to make it easy enough for your users to use, but you want to make it difficult for the attackers to make them, how do you say? I always say this word and now I forgot. It gets me upset. There's no such thing as a secure network. Deter. You want to deter the attacker, okay, from getting into your network. So this is why you put in policies, okay, and it could be multiple policies, okay. It could be multiple firewalls. It could be different types of firewalls, okay. So you got to do a lot of different things. Security, because this is what firewalls do. They secure your network, okay, from all these different types of attacks, okay. And there's different ones. You got the ASAs, which probably we'll do a lab on, okay. You got the Cisco PIX firewalls. You have software firewalls, which I really don't recommend. Myself, Lazaro J. Diaz, Laz, do not recommend software firewalls. The first time I installed a software firewall, not only did it start yelling for every little thing that came in, and it was actually banks, to be honest with you, that I saw popping into my computer. I finally just turned it off, and it asked for updates constantly. It really was more of a pain. Antiviruses, you have, you know, your McAfee, you have your AVG, which was free at one time, Bitdefender. You have a whole bunch of Kaspersky. Everybody uses that. I had personally WatchGuard firewalls when I had a business somewhere else. Okay, I had WatchGuards, very good firewalls. Very expensive, depending on which one you buy. I know mine was like around $7,000, that one firewall. All right, but it did a lot of different things. And for each module that you purchase to put on that firewall, you're going to pay at least a minimum of $500. This is the one that I bought. All right, but you see that little wireless firewalls and everything. So you got to be very careful. And wireless, that's just the word wireless alone should act as a security risk, okay? But be looking for, because definitely I want to give you at least the very, 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 very basics of a lab on ASAs. So I'll probably be doing a lab on ASAs somewhere in there, whether it be ICND1 or ICND2 for the new topics. I'll throw a little firewall lab in there, okay? So why do we need firewalls? Protect your devices from the outside. Protect them from the inside, all right? Block everything. Every protocol, every port number, block the whole thing. Take out the default policies that are there. Take them out. Take them out. Okay? Block everything. And then start allowing. Then start allowing things. Okay? And believe it or not, most attacks are done within the company. Believe it or not, the disgruntled employees, right, that believe that they deserve more than what they're getting, all right, they're the ones that are going to try their very best to hack into your network and do whatever, all right? Because as your Security Plus training, if you took Security Plus or any kind of security class within Microsoft, whatever, that talks about it, you talk about script kiddies, You talk about hackers, which are the good hackers. You talk about the crackers, which are the bad hackers. You talk about what do you call these guys? Cyber pirates, cybers, whatever. Right? Cyber pirates, okay, or cyber terrorists. There you go. Cyber terrorists, okay. You gotta be very careful, all right, because you don't know who this person is or how high their intelligence level or is for hacking. All right. I once saw a student hack a wireless network, okay, that was right next door to us. Very easy, very quick. It only took them 5 minutes, okay. But when creating policies, one of the most important things that you want to do is shut your mouth, okay? Because the majority of information that people get is when you start spilling your guts. You become a canary. You start singing, okay? Because somebody calls you, if you've never seen the old movie, all right, about Captain, what's his name? Captain Jack, Cracker Jack, or something like that. It's not people just calling you. They're just calling you, hey, I work on the 3rd floor. I forgot the password to this server. Can you give me the password? Because if not, my boss is going to get mad at me. Social engineering. Okay? You're the one that gives the information. Hey, what operating system are you using? What type of firewall are you using? All right, hey, make sure you create this policy. Oh, no, we got this policy created. We created so many policies. We blocked this, we blocked that, we blocked this. Here, let me show you. All right? People will walk out with blueprints. You got to be very careful, not only about securing things with a firewall, but physical security and what they call policies that are written, that you, the user policies, that you don't say things, okay? That you shut your mouth. Don't tell nobody what operating system you're running, because they can go and find vulnerabilities and then they try to hack you. Especially if you're in the IT department, all right? You don't go to no one outside the IT department, period. Whether it's an employee of the company or a non-employee of the company, and tell them, hey, this is what we're doing. Or you get into a conversation, you go to a bar, you talk at night. You don't want to do that. Firewalls are there for a reason, right? But again, when you do your firewalls, because you want to stop all these types of attacks, right? And you take a look at the ports and protocols that you're using, you got to decide what you're going to do and where are you going to place these firewalls. Where and how many are you going to use? I can tell you right now, at the college that I worked at, it was 2 racks. Each rack had their own firewall. One was for the college, one was for the student side, one was for the administrative side. They were physically segmented, and each one had its own WatchGuard firewall. I can tell you that, because you don't know which college it is. All right, they had their own WatchGuard firewall because they were physically segmented. All right, and they had their own policies and what have you. But you gotta create your policies, and you just can't give access to anyone. If you are the IT personnel, if you are the one in charge of that particular arena, all right, that is security, I don't care if the president of the college comes to you and says, I need access to that that firewall. I need access to that room where the IT. No, you don't need access, because you don't know what you're looking at. You don't know what you're doing. So the only people that need to have access are the people that were in your security department. All right, your security administrator. If the company's big enough and they segment it that way. But if it's just one IT department, then only the IT guys that deal with that are the ones that are supposed to know. Nobody else. That's how tight it should be. I've been to universities. When you click the start button, only one thing pops up. Bing. That's it. The start button, boom. That's all you see. One little window like this. And that's all you can do. And they have application that's called Go Back. Long time ago, I'm talking about now. Okay? That when you're done and you shut it down or you restart it, whatever the case may be, everything goes back to what it was. All right? It erases, deletes, does whatever, cleans up, and puts it back the way it was. That's just the way it is. That's how tight they were on their security. All right? So and that's the way you need to think. So when you're thinking firewalls, you got two choices, hardware or software. I go hardware if I were you. All right. And then think, where am I going to place it? And what policies am I going to create to make sure that nobody inside goes where they don't need to go, and that nobody outside that I don't want can come in. Think about that. See you in the next one.